I'm the Director of Brand Advocacy for a little spirits company called Samson in Surrey. I'm also your National President of the United States Bartenders Guild.
And my name is... My name is Jim Ryan. I'm a National Portfolio for Samson in Surrey. And I'm super
We're very excited today to be here on behalf of our beautiful gin from Philadelphia, Blue Coat Gin. And we are going to be doing something we've never done before. It's it's a world premiere, a universal premiere of this concept. I've never seen anything done like it before. And we're going to actually be creating the seminar all anew to address some issues, the issues that you want to address, potentially that we can have some workable, actionable solutions to take back to your community. So a lot of what we do under Blue Coat is under this banner of United We Create. So we are going to create this seminar together as we go today, specifically looking at issues of leadership. We talked a lot about leadership and entrepreneurship at Blue Coat because Blue Coat was one of the leading voices of bringing the new Western style or American style of gins into the world as we know it. Hence we have our own gin guru, gin sensei. I would say ginsei might be an interesting way to look at that. With Jim here. So ask all of your nerdiest questions of Jim for gin. But Samson in Surrey, again, a tiny little spirits portfolio we started about 2 years ago. We have now 5 great brands within that craft spirit space, Few Spirits, Blue Coat Gin, and everything from Philadelphia Distilling. We've got Brand French Single Malt. We have Widow Jane Bourbon and Rye out of Brooklyn, out of Red Hook, and recently just added Mezcal Vago as well to our lineup. Yeah. So very exciting. Our founders are our partners, true equity partners, running their brands, and we're just adding the education component, the sales component, the distribution component to the group in order to be able to work in this crazy 3-tiered system that we call life that we all work and operate in. So that's a little bit about Samson and Surrey. Blue Coat and Philadelphia Distilling established in 2005. So long before that letter was ever written talking about maybe we should call this a new Western style of gin, Andrew Awerda and his team on the outskirts of Philly then, now downtown Philadelphia, were creating one of the most interesting and new and non-juniper driven, but juniper laden of course, gins that we'd ever seen up to that point in this sexy blue package that you see here. Inspired by the Blue Coats, inspired by those people who did not like things as they were, the status quo, pre-American Revolution, and decided to take things into their own hands and find a new way to do things, which became the United States of America. So along those lines, and being based in Philadelphia, the home and heritage of entrepreneurship, if you think of all the things that Benjamin Franklin in Philadelphia brought to the world for the first time, and the fact that the United States really was in part, and in fact signed into, if you look at the Declaration of Independence, and Independence Hall, right down the street from our new distillery, which is right here. Yes, please. That's what I'm talking about. Got it. Because, oh yeah, products just now dropping. We may have to come back and sip as sipping last. So here comes some tasty gin, as we're talking about. But these are beautiful Scottish four-side stills. Here's our original baby right here, and then here's our new 2,500 liter still that we just launched with this space. On President's Day of this year, we'll come back to this at the end of today, will be our 2nd anniversary in that space. And we're throwing a big ass party. So if you can come to Philadelphia on President's Day Monday, please do. We expected 100 last year, our first time doing it, and we got 4 or 5 more, something like that, a lot. We got there. It was fantastic.
It's great. The bar that's in front of it is just state-of-the-art bar. I mean, this is my very, very favorite on-premise restaurant bar / distillery experience that I've ever seen. And granted, there aren't many yet, but more and more are coming, and I think I see this as the copper standard as far as what to look forward to. You'll see some samples coming out. Oh, by the way, Kyle did mention our distillery and President's Day. If you don't happen to make President's Day, that's okay. You have in front of you a little coin that is good for what is free tour or free cocktail?
All of the above.
All of the above. Yes.
Can we keep the coin now?
Yes, you can. Used to be that, like, when we first started the coin program, they were like, oh, we'll take the coin and get one, and then no one's really happy at the end of the day when like, get your free tour and your free cocktail. So yeah, you can keep it. No one has really abused it, like, came, like, every day for, like, you know, forever. So there's a bit of an honor system to this whole thing, but we would love to host you there. It's really a fantastic facility, and we'd love to have you there as our guests.
So really quick, since Blue Coat is paying the bills for us to be here today and with us tonight at the tasting and then at the gala on Saturday, I wanted to run you through the 2 key expressions of Blue Coat to take care of our friends and sponsors and bosses. P.S. The hashtags there as you walked in and on your sheets and please let everyone know you're having a good time. Hopefully you're lie about it if you're not having a good time. But just, any social media you can do, myself, Jim, but mostly Blue Coat Gin, at Blue Coat Gin, and hashtag, welcome. So as we're about to drop everything else, if you've got Blue Coat American Dry, which is on your left, they're almost all out.
That would be the clear one.
That would be the clear one. Let's go ahead and start. Jim, do you want to walk through tasting?
Yeah, sure. So go ahead and give a nose. I'll just say that this is a gin that's macerated and distilled. There's no vapor basket. It spends about I want to say 2 hours in the 500-liter pot still that we use. And yeah. Botanicals, so heavy up on citrus here, so this is 100% organic botanicals in Blue Coat. Outside of juniper, we have American citrus, including lemon peel, orange peel, angelica root, and coriander, sort of rounding everything out. Coriander provides a really nice citric and yet sort of spicy sort of characteristic in gins. Angelica just gives a really nice base note to it. So go ahead and give a nose, and then I'd love to know what you get on the nose, and go ahead and give a taste, and I'd love to know what you get on the palate. What do you get on the nose? I'm stealing this first one. Great. Yeah? What else? Is it a gin? Yeah. Great. I think we're on juniper right there. Right? Good. That one. Yeah. So go ahead and give a taste. I'd love to know what you get on the palate. Yeah, citrus juniper is kind of creamy too. It has a really nice mouthfeel for me. I think a lot of it has to do with this being a precise still. This is I think the last family-owned still houses in all of Scotland. So usually these are stills that are used to make single malt whiskey. The line would be a little bit different, a lot different actually, but kind of an untraditional way to produce gin. Let's go ahead and move on to the barrel finish. So, granted, category that's pretty small, pretty fun though, I think, certainly, and I've had the pleasure of tasting through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of whether they're aged or not aged. When it comes to aged gins, this is my very absolute favorite when it comes to gin. This time of year. We go ahead and take a batch of Blue Coat gin and we place it in a new, which is pretty uncharacteristic for the barrel age or barrel finish type gin world, usually because there's some flavors already. It's cheaper to buy a barrel that may have had some wine or something else in it. It can also bring in some of those characteristics of the thing that used to be in there that was aging. We place it in a new 53-gallon American oak barrel. We allow that to rest for 3 to 5 months. And then we take that batch out, we place another batch of Blue Coat in there and allow it to rest for 2 to 3 months. So you kind of get this best of both worlds. You have like a first fill, and then you have a brand new experience. So go ahead and give a nose, and then I'd love to know what you get on the nose.
What's the char barrel?
They're a little lower. Yeah, there are 3 versus a 4 alligator with 2 caps. They are brand new independent stave barrels out of
Brand new. What do you get on the nose?
Base,
yeah, baking spices. Totally. Caramel, there's wood sugars are popping up in there. Our distiller, Aaron, he likes it, he always gives this as a descriptor. He's like, I really love how the wood kind of converts that juniper into like sort of a cedar quality to it. So go ahead and give it a taste, and I love what you get on the palate. Dill? Could be, yeah.
Coconut.
Fennel-ish, yeah, coconut, for sure. American oak, yeah.
So that's a really mild total. What is that total? What's that barrel?
It's a 3 independent stave 3 with 2's on the caps.
But at the end of the day, it's not like, oh gosh, this used to have a brandy in it. Oh gosh, I get those really heavy, like Cabernet Sauvignon wine notes in there. This definitely, used to have a whiskey in it. This is a kind of an interesting departure from the norm when it comes to the very small world currently of barrel-aged, barrel-finished gins. So, hope you enjoy them. You'll have the remainder of the weekend to enjoy them.
That's right.
With us. So, great. We'll just go ahead and cruise on to the taps.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. Again, on timelines here, one quick quote to get us started, and looking at that idea of leadership. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and I think most importantly, shows the way. And something that I have seen in my years of leadership within the USBG, this being a USBG conference put on by our Tampa chapter, is that there's a lot of talk. And social media, boy, is there a lot of talk. But always the defining part, that is the hardest part, is the action and taking action and knowing how to actually deliver the talk into action. So what we're going to do today is demo and actually live. So in a world where we're kinesthetic people, we don't sit well. We're going to get up, we're going to move around, and we're going to solve some problems. Because what we do well is when we're working, I don't know any other group of professionals who work so hard and so fast and so efficiently with the greater common good as a goal. And that's exactly what we're going to solve today, or do our best to solve, is an issue that is facing our communities, no matter where we are from in the United States. So here's what we're doing. We're going to practice something we call democracy. If you've been to some of our leadership conferences in the past, you've practiced this. We're not going to actually do the dots, but we're going to pick the issue of which we're going to solve in this room today. We're going to break out and identify the challenges that we're facing in our communities around that specific issue. We're going to regroup and share what those challenges were from our three themes that we're going to break into, and align on what are the three priorities that we want to try to fix collectively across all of our communities. We'll go back into our breakout groups. We're actually going to physically move around per se here, other than grabbing cocktails in the middle, because you got to have cocktail breaks. So then we're going to break out and identify solutions to those three prioritized problems, regroup and share the solutions. So you see if you have a worksheet there in front of you. Keep that worksheet with you. If you need a pen, there's pens in the back. Keep that with you. I want you to have a written record of the work you did here today in the next 40-ish minutes to be able to take home and affect change at home. And that's the next step. We're going to align on three things, not align. You are going to give yourself three smart, actionable steps, SMART being the acronym, that you can go home and affect change should you choose to do so against the issue that we're doing. So all the time people say, why isn't somebody doing something about this? Here's your chance to do something about this and be a leader. Be a leader as Andrew was with Blue Coat, be a leader as we were in bringing the idea of democracy to this fine nation of ours. Not, the collective we, not like, okay. So here are the issues that you have to choose from, that we're going to choose from right now. Physical, mental, and emotional health. An issue in our communities right now?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We're going to go through these really quick, just so you have a chance to know what really specifically some thought leaders, some thought starters about what we're talking about in these individual items. Continuing professional development. That sounds a little dry maybe up front, but a lot of us are part of the USBG, and to find some kind of professional development, there's a lot of things in here we'll look at. Safety within our communities. Definitely a hot button topic, something that has been a big conversation point around the USBG this year, for sure. And financial literacy and resources. Maybe not talked about enough, but something that faces our community very uniquely on a lot of different fronts, and something that we are not, I don't think, addressing well enough. So an opportunity to have these conversations. Let's look at them all individually to better have a chance to see what you want to vote for to work on today. So some thought starters around physical, mental, and emotional health. Diet and exercise. The things that may sound like evil words to you, but that are tantamount because of the kind of work that we do. The very busy, kinesthetic, odd-hour shift work that affects us in unique ways from so many other professions. Mental health, a huge topic of note for our whole country. Where are those mental health resources? We've seen friends suffer and afflicted by this. We've lost some friends to this. So this definitely falls in that category. The availability of health care to our communities and what we do. Most of our employers choose not to offer us health care. Universal health care was brought in and is now threatened. So what do we do to take care of ourselves and have a safety net of health care? Work-life balance. This is a seminar that I've done for around the country and am offering up to regional conferences again this next year. How do you balance everything you try to do at work and everything you try to do and have a life outside of work as well? That's increasingly hard for everybody when we have computers in our pockets. Substance use and substance abuse. Challenging everywhere, challenging specifically in our communities where we're dealing with controlled substances professionally on a day-by-day basis. Great seminar yesterday, so I was not able to be here for it. with some great leaders in our communities who have chosen to go drink-free. So continuing that conversation and finding ways to bring it into your communities. So that's physical, mental, and emotional health. Continuing professional development. Some thought starters around this idea. Bartending skills and knowledge. Again, a lot of us got into the USBG in order to pursue additional items along this line. But something that not all of us have, and some of us are also looking for, more practical, more traditional office and or business skills. Finding networking and building networking and how to do so successfully and actually utilize that networking. We don't train about that a lot. We are very naturally social people on the whole. As part of the reason we're in this work that we do. But how do you actually systemize your networking abilities in order to utilize them when needed, like when you need a new job or want to relocate, etc. Diversity and intersectionality. Here is a conversation that comes up a lot right now. Where else would this or should this live besides professional development? And creating spaces for conversations of diversity and intersectionality in everything that we as individuals do in the workplace and in our professional space. And career mapping and coaching. I know I hear a lot, I want to get into brand work, I want to get into not-for-profit work, I want to start my own business, I want to start my own bar. What are those next steps? So having some idea of how that works and what it looks like and connecting to resources that can help you through those issues. All different ideas that can affect if we choose to work on professional development. Number 3, safety in the community, harassment in the workplace. And we've done some great green dot trainings in partnership with a lot of different sponsors from the USBG this year, talking about employee versus employee harassment, employee versus customer harassment, usually more so customer versus employee harassment, inside the building, outside the building, etc. So lots of different conversations there. Troubled interpersonal histories. There are a lot of personal issues that pervade our professional lives and spaces that we're working on as a community. So how do we navigate those? Online social media attacks, all of the above. Maybe it's text messaging, maybe it's all of the other kinds of bullying that exist when we have little computers in our pockets that follow us around everywhere and can really affect our mental health and our reputations in the community based on topics that happen of the day. Code red plans. My kids have code red plans at their kindergarten. It is terrifying. The safety of our customers and of our communities are tantamount. So are we talking about this in our communities, and what are we doing to make sure that our communities are safe for horrible situations that may arise and are arising almost daily in our country? Creating safe spaces. On the flip side, what are we doing to create spaces that are free from some of these challenges that we face? So safety in the community, another topic. And last and certainly not least, financial literacy and resources. Some starters here. Credit scores. Here's something that plagues members of our community. How do I build great credit, especially if I'm working on cash? Obviously, credit card tips have changed that scale somewhat over the years for veterans like me who are working almost exclusively in cash at the beginning. But how do we build great credit, and how do we rebuild credit that's been challenged due to previous situations, like a healthcare issue, perhaps? Interconnections, synergies. Okay, partnerships, investors and investing. If we're going to start something, how do I form a partnership? What are those challenges we need to look at? Where do I go find investors? What does investment look like? Budgeting with pay variability. If we go to work, we don't know how much we're going to make tonight often if we're in the bartending business. So how do we create budgets and live by budgets that adjust and assume that we're going to have peaks and valleys as far as our income goes? Maybe slower Mondays and busier Fridays, maybe slower winters and busier summers, whatever, what have you. Planning for the future and putting money away and having investments and things that will help, and starting your own business. A lot of entrepreneurship spirit, very dear, of course, to the heart of Blue Coat Gin, very dear to my own heart as an active and former entrepreneur. So how do we do that? What are some issues that go into that, which are rife in there? So these are the 4 different topics we're going to pick from. We're going to focus on one topic as a group here, identify challenges, and then identify solutions. All right, so be thinking of which one you want to vote for, because this is the time. So, be ready. This is going to be the dot democracy with no dots. This is going to be the raising of the hands. So of these 4 things, we're going to go in the order that we saw them. So first, who wants to talk about health and wellness? Raise your hands. Okay? Got it? Who wants to talk about professional development? Okay? Who wants to talk about safety? Okay, and who wants to talk about financial? Wow.
Let's talk about financial.
I think we're talking about financials. All right, I dig it. So here's what we're going to do. Failing the ownership. You can feel the ownership. hardship in the room. Here's what we're going to do. We need 3 groups. We've got Station 1 here, Station Beta over there, there's no priority stations, and Station 3 over there, all right, C, to use a third nomenclature. So here's what I'd like to do. This first 2 rows right here, we're going to go back there. What, we got 5 rows. We got 9 rows. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. That's going to be pretty close. All right, that's going to go 3 and 3. So then we're going to go boom, boom, and boom. We're going to go over here, okay? And then boom, boom, and boom. We're going to go over there.
So you guys are first 2 rows. There are, bring your worksheets. There are post-it notes right here. There are markers in the back for the back 2 sections. Go ahead and read them up. Keep it active.
Yeah, get to those spots and we'll get a little bit further direction.
Yeah, with the ball is strong.
Get to those spots. We have 1 minute to get to the spots.
Sorry, I should have mentioned.
All good.
So let's have the first 2 rows, or no, the last 2 rows over here.
Write up ideas. Put them up on the challenges side. Everybody be thinking of them. When you see yours go up there, that's great. It's only up there. Get an in one. In brainstorming, there's no such thing as a bad one. So list your challenges and get them on the floor. Write yours up. And here's what we're going to do at the end. Each group is going to pick their top 2 that came up the most times. All right? So, get in your groups. Here we go. For 4 minutes, identify challenges relating to financial literacy and resources in your community. Go.
So what are we brainstorming?
Right back, everybody here.
So we're on financial
Done. Let's hear your top 2 challenges. Who's reporting? Right there. Thank you for coming to the front from a height perspective.
I know.
Tallest person.
I went to that one like it's me.
Who are you? Where are you from?
I am Taylor Duggan. I am from New Jersey. So we figured one of the pretty much the biggest problem in our industry financially wise is money management, and there are a lot of things that web off of that. So when it comes to savings, when it comes to you know, when it comes to credit and your credit score and everything like that, that all kind of is bubbled in the same thing. Finally with that, it's really more of a lack of knowledge and lack of access to that when it comes to managing our money in this industry, working with cash, credit, all of that good stuff.
Great.
So money management and access to financial knowledge.
Yes.
Fair? That's what I'm hearing. All right. Let's go. Who was done next? I think this one was done next. Okay, give me your 2.
We did,
Mark, where are you from?
oh, I'm Marty from New Orleans. This is everybody else from where they're from. We did a similar thing to them. We threw a bunch of ideas up and then tried to see which fit under to like larger umbrellas. So we came away with long-term planning and basic financial literacy. So within financial literacy, tax help, knowledge of financial products and vehicles that are available, how to negotiate and do contract work, credit and all that surrounds that, and ongoing debt issues that people might have as they're going through their career from before they were in it, or like health debt, things like that. And then on long-term planning, retirement, investing potentially, having an emergency fund, how to pay for health insurance and life insurance, and putting together a budget, making sure you have self-care time and like some freedom to enjoy your money, maybe you're planning to have a family one day, so all to get that whole financial house in order.
Great. Now, here's what I love about it. Slow groups. And you look at it visually, this is what I like, guys, because this is how you take a very complicated and sticky subject and you make it clearer so you can get a planned approach to solve it. Is you've got titles now for both of these and you found out where all these other great ideas live amongst them, right? So you can take each individual idea and come up with a specific strategic action to solve it under these other two great headers. So naturally what you did is exactly how you're going to get these problems solved. Great. Group 3, what do you got?
Hey everybody, Alex Larea, Oklahoma City chapter president. Good to see you guys all here. So I love that both groups and us, it sounds like we are echoing a lot of the same ideas. And then like you mentioned, Kyle, like one of the big things is narrowing it down into like big buckets and then like figuring out what makes sense in that. So if we had to identify two like overarching problems, like it would be managing cash flow and what you actually do as like, you know, starting off as a bartender, barback, you know, even for servers and all those front of house employees, like how do you actually manage that day-to-day cash? And then the big second challenge is what do you do like after it's in the bank and managing assets and liabilities. And I think from those two topics, all of our individual things that Mark mentioned and that she mentioned would all kind of like work in with that. So those would be the two things, like how do you manage your paycheck? And you know, there's even some people maybe here, does anybody work here at an establishment that does no tipping? Was there somebody here? I thought I was talking to somebody. Yeah. Sorry, there it is. We'll tip you. Everybody tip him. That's but just as we're kind of moving into this modern world where this is more of like a long-term career, just figuring out how to deal with that cash once it's in the bank and managing credit, all of those kinds of things would be the big overarching bucket.
Great. Okay, and I like there's a business perspective to that too of cash flow, and then you know looking at how did you phrase it? Assets and liabilities. Yeah. So it's very much kind of like the balance sheet and the ebbs and flows of finances, just the way that's orchestrated. So I love that. Okay, so here's the deal. Great stuff. We've got 6 things written down. We've definitely got some overlap. Jim, what would you say the synthesis? Can we find 3?
Yeah, so we've got what? Money management, access to financial knowledge, long-term planning, financial literacy, managing cash flow in the day-to-day, and then managing your assets and liabilities. There's a lot of similarity in here.
So what I hear is access to knowledge and tools. That's pervasive, it sounds like. What I hear is actual physical management of resources. And then what's a third one that we're hearing across those 6?
Retirement, long-term.
Strategies. So handling resources, accessing knowledge, and then strategies for application. To take the knowledge and the resources and apply it into a strategic framework. Does that sound right? Like 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
All right, so here's the good news. Go to your seats, grab a martini. It's martini timeout. 1 minute for martini timeout. Tasty and delicious. Tasty and delicious. On your worksheet, your 3 challenges are access to financial knowledge and services. Number 2 is
Handling resources.
management of resources. And number 3 is strategic planning, strategic financial planning, all right? So those are your bigger buckets. Now, with your good, we're writing it down. I like this writing it down. This is good with writing it down. So that's what we're working against, very clear. Now those are big buckets. We need on the post-its again, micro solutions that will solve those 3 challenges. So if you will, on your solutions board, you can use 3 quadrants, all right? 1, 2, or 3. We're solving access to knowledge and resources. We're solving management of resources, and we're solving strategic application of resources, okay? 1, 2, or 3. So, we have 6 minutes. Get on your post-it notes and start plugging in solutions that could work for these items.
What I've done, and it's actually helped me out a lot, is I'll split what I make in a night, and I'll put half of that into savings, and then another half of that I pay off with credit cards. So if I make 100, I split on 50, 25, I save, 25, I put towards a credit card. And then I have $50 to go for like gas bills, whatever. So that's, and it's raised my credit score by like 50 points in the past year.
Really just sitting down and prioritizing where you're right now. Right now, I was prioritizing like how much, like so I was always taught I would, put 10%, 20%, 30% towards yourself. So you're working your best to give yourself your best to do.
How many people here know their credit score, by the way?
I have credit karma.
I know.
You guys all got the freaking app and stuff? Are you worried you have to get
So, our chapter is doing a quarterly education one that's covered finance. We also do a quarterly one over health. So just every quarter you take one of your education meetings or gym meetings, whatever it takes, and that's when you bring the CPA or whoever you've been talking about, and that's your access through your meetings. That's awesome. So,
I forgot. I like how your chapter is followed by because of
I'm Capricorn, but yeah, they do it. It's awesome. One of your websites absolutely like right. It could be that's you. Let's go to management. Trusting bankroll. Budgeting.
There's a great website called literally you can set all your credit cards, all your banks and everything in one place. Yeah, it's great. It tracks your credit score.
Yeah, we're just
and then bias, beef vermouth, and Campari. Very, very simple, equal parts. Bob's your uncle, little orange in there with, because of that citrus note, we always use oranges on Luca. Martini, as you see, Martini, we're celebrating that organic American citrus. Okay, next steps. Next steps to get you out of here close. It's on time, close. You've got your worksheet in front of you. We've gotten everything else reported so far. We're going to share the results of this, okay, with everybody via the Repeal Day conference as we start collecting this data. You'll get images of all the work here, because there's great individual ideas that we weren't able to share in this room. But what we just did, guys, is we just came up with really clear, actionable steps that you can walk back to your community and activate. You want to help, you want to be a leader, you want to step into your community and be able to offer financial literacy and resources. You just got nine great ideas, one encapsulating, but overall, 9 great ideas to take back. So here's your chance. On your worksheet, this is a personal work. Take a minute and write down 3 smart action items that you can go back and affect your community with. Smart being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Give yourself a due date. Hold yourself accountable to something you can do. I am going to host, using that back group's idea, I am going to help the USBG host a financial literacy meeting in the first quarter of 2019, planned by January 31st. That is a smart goal, okay? Build 3 smart action items. If you don't want to lead, take a minute to yourself and enjoy your Negroni. If you want to make an impact in your community, give yourself 3 things to do. I'll tell you, I work my butt off for the USBG, and I love it. Many of us in this room do the same thing. I hear all the time, when's the USBG going to solve? Right now. We are the USBG, and we're going to solve something right now if the leaders in this room choose to do something about this in their communities. This is how everything works. This is leadership. 3 items. Nice. All right, as you're buttoning these up, a great topic came up, and I just want to share it and share the next steps, one possible next step. Somebody asked, why doesn't USBG share healthcare? We've heard a lot of that over the years. At one point, we tried to, and we had a catastrophe policy that nobody enrolled in that became completely moot when the universal healthcare plan was adopted, what we call Obamacare, that is now, again, under threat. I'm happy to talk about the history of insurance in the USBG and why it's impractical as a relatively small organization of 6,000 members relative to what's out there. And any other specific topics, I am here to help answer those questions. We can't get into today because we're already home.
Something else, if you have this in Louisiana, you cannot collectively bargain for stuff like that unless you work under the same roof. And we're not the only state that has that.
Universal, right, exactly. State to state, there's other issues at play. A group of well-intended leaders said, we're going to solve this, and announced it before they realized they couldn't solve it. So that's the short answer, but I'm happy to get into details later. We can't do it right here, but it's a great question. So anything like that, you want to have some micro questions come up to me? If I can't solve it today, I will get back to you with answers, okay? Quick quote to leave you with your 3 action steps to come back. I'm not going to ask who wrote action steps. I don't care. All I care about is that action happens. Please go back and take action. It's not about embarrassment. It's not about anything else. The best leadership often happens when nobody's looking. It's not about a title or designation. We get caught up with that shit all the time. It's about impact, influence, and inspiration. Getting results, getting the influence you need to spread that passion in order to effect that change, and then actually being able to inspire your teammates, your customers, your community members, your fellow USBG board members, all of the above, to actually follow you and do that first quote that we saw of talking about it, making it happen, and then sharing your thoughts, and then actually doing those things together. Really quickly, I want to share this with you as well. Starting next week, we're doing our 2nd ever Sons and Daughters of Independence. Glucogin is now a national partner of the USBG, and this is our first ever national program for any of our Sampson and Surrey brands. It is a leadership symposium that will happen in Philadelphia around President's Day and the 2nd anniversary of the distillery. We're going to take 2 industry leaders, up-and-coming industry leaders. There's an application process that will launch via usbg.org. And if you're picked, 2 from each region, you will fly to Philadelphia, and you'll work with Jim and myself and Andrew and a special guest. Last year we had Charles Jolie. He may or may not be back this year. We're working on another celebrity guest as well. And those 10 members will be inducted into the Sons and Daughters of Independence. To our knowledge, we're the only brand that is supporting conversations of leadership in our communities and helping leaders through processes like this. It's not just about this weekend. It's about having a network of leaders around the country to do something like we just did and help solve the problems that we're facing in our communities using shared knowledge and shared experience, just like we did in this room today, but on an ongoing basis. So look next week through the pre-shift note that goes out to all members, through usbg.org, for the launch of our Sons and Daughters of Independence program. We'll have seminars, we'll have working sessions like this, and you'll get to meet other sons and daughters and then be at the kick-ass party for the anniversary on Monday, President's Day, February of the 18th, February 18th, Monday.
It's a good time.
All right. Any questions, anybody?
Well, I'll
Yes.
say something. Does anybody know what the USBG grant is? Have you guys heard of this? I got injured this year, and I was on crutches for an entire month, and I couldn't bartend. And the USBG grant gave me $1,400 to pay rent and car insurance and all that. What?
The national charity or
So this is through the National Charity Foundation.
Yeah.
The United States Bartenders Guild is the professional association side. We also work with and provide the administrative support for the National Charity Foundation, which is a separate entity. But our board helps work with their board in order to deliver great things like this through the Bartender Assistance Fund. So there's a lot of great things going on, and there's a primary.
I didn't know about it, and people told me about it, so I applied, and I was granted the grant. So I just want everyone to know that there's resources available for us.
What is it? It's up to 25%?
No, they dropped it down to 2,500. But it was a great help.
We've issued grants, the foundation has issued grants for lots of different folks affected by floods, affected by health issues, affected by family issues. There's a lot there. That is one of many resources, and we're looking at working and partnering with a lot of other charitable groups to bring them under that umbrella and provide them the support and the mechanisms they need in order to offer more assistance to more people.
So I just want everyone to know that, because I didn't know about it.
Yeah,
So
you
it's-
can go online.
Yeah,
That's how I met Brooke. We did a fundraiser.
Great. Awesome. Great. Any other questions? All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, share with your friends, let the world know, let our friends at Blue Coat Gin know because they're thrilled to be here. Mark?
I took pictures of all of this stuff, and we'll find a way to use the conference email or something to get it to everybody.
Yeah, we'll share these individual ideas. We don't want to cap, we don't want to lose, but we just can't roll it into the great action steps that you were able to build today.
When is that application going live?
It should go live next week. I just saw a draft of it hit my inbox earlier today. So we're hoping that we'll have it all through clear drafts and you'll see it come out next week. We'll have about 4 or 5 weeks of application. It'll go into the first week of January for applications.
Candidates that were selected in years past, what things did they exhibit that got them through the final round?
A sense of wanting to help, a proven history of taking advantage of leadership opportunities. And there's, all through the questionnaire, you'll see like what have I done to this point to prove that I'm trying to help lead, even though it is a selfless act and not necessarily to help gain some title or some other thing, but actual physical steps that you've already taken so that you can take the next step to, really get together and have a lot of resources spent on getting you to the next level. In the synopsis.
We saw touching on those any of those 4 things we started off with are great jump off points or examples.
The folks who joined us last year for the first example had a wide range of sets and experiences and a wide range of ages as well.
Yeah.
It's about when do you choose to engage in leadership in your community. And if you've been doing it for 10 years, maybe this isn't it. It's really helped to design for the new leader because those of you who are already and there's a lot of us in this room, who are already in advanced international and national leadership positions, we know what to do. We're already out there doing it. Everybody could use the help, and we're always, hopefully the next expansion of this is to work with existing leaders and connect them to these new leaders. New leaders, that's why it's not young leaders, it's just new leaders. Great, other questions? What do we think? First world launch premiere of this idea, did it work? Yeah. Great to hear. Thank you everybody. All right, so there's water in the back, hydrate.
Water's getting refilled right now. For the conference volunteers, there's going to be there's like box lunches out in the hall. We just have the next event is the 2 p.m. Greg tasting for us. But we have one last order of business to take care of.
Where is
before we
he?
do that. Okay.